My name is Christoper Campo Bowen. I'm an assistant professor of musicology at Virginia Tech, and I am one of the 19th century area editors for the Women's and Gender Studies revision project for Grove Music Online, which is part of Oxford Music Online. It's really exciting to kind of be able to talk to specialists in this area, people that work on these figures that have been forgotten or talked about in very specific ways that kind of reinforce these narratives of history that we're so used to. Many of the articles that we have edited or that we have singled out for editing tend to have often women singers that were active in the 19th century, and their biographies are often born here, did their musical training here, and then sang the premieres of these male composers' works, and then maybe they taught, and then they died. And it's a very kind of limited way of understanding not just the kind of, the role of the performer, but also just the role of women generally and other kind of gender minorities, I suppose, in music history. And so one thing that's been very exciting is to kind of not only just kind of like talk more about them, but also try and develop more expansive ways of thinking about the ways that people can contribute to music beyond simply being composers, performers, kind of patrons, people that hosted salons, people that taught, people that kind of traveled around, even pedagogues and writers and things. Women did all of these things, and so it's been very interesting talking to different people and finding, not only revising older ways of thinking, but also finding new people to talk about. So I've been very excited working with some of the authors to develop new articles for people that we just aren't in Grove right now. So we hope to just continue kind of commissioning revisions and new articles as much as we can. It's interesting working as an editor for something as massive as Grove. My co-editor and I have our specialties that we have in 19th century music and things related to gender and so on. But we don't know what we don't know, and so it's really interesting talking to other people, and we'll say like, this is one aspect of our project, and then someone will say, I know this person who's working on this new thing that you should talk to them, and so branching out, taking advantage of the people and the networks and so on that we're developing, I think is really exciting. And so just trying to kind of find the research that people are doing now and really use this kind of cutting edge stuff to really update how this this incredibly central reference work is functioning in musicology. So.